Quasar Markets Live. How are you doing today? You've got your main man, Hondo Greenberg, here to talk to you about everything going on in the market. And we've got to start off with Bitcoin here today. Again, my main man, Big Beat, is on the road down in Miami today, moving, shaking, and grooving with some of the Quasar Market stuff going on down there. So I will be solo today. Bitcoin blasted through $100,000 last night. We've been talking here a couple of things that I do want to pat myself on the back for. Number one, I got to give credit to our man Big Beat, because he did call out that we were going to hit 100,000 before the inauguration. I was not so sure about that when he called that out originally. I quickly got on the bandwagon as I saw the OTC numbers coming in and the premium being paid for large amounts of Bitcoin being deposited onto some of those exchanges. You could see that this momentum was going to carry through. Since then, I had been saying that we would go up to about 104 if we blasted 100, right? 103 to 104. We got exactly to 104 here on Coinbase last night before retracing. Some of the other ones we didn't quite get to 1400, but we did there. So, what a great move here that we've seen. It's holding up pretty nicely, as you can see here. This is the 3-minute chart. But still holding up pretty nicely. Just got a sell signal here on the B4, but that's really for scalping, so not something that you're looking for a drop here. It has given wings to most of the other cryptos out there. Ethereum has been moving up. Solana, a nice move up by Solana, and it does make sense. Solana is seeing a lot of talk as it is entering into the world of ETFs, or at least trying to enter into the world of ETFs, with multiple applications from Grayscale, VanEck, and others in the pipeline, and now thoughts that that could happen. We do have to talk about the fact, I got his name wrong yesterday. I actually feel bad. We do have, it looks like our pick, well, not like our pick, it is our pick for SEC chairman. It is going to be a very pro-crypto candidate. In fact, a member of the Digital Chamber of Commerce, Paul Atkins, who is going to be who is the SEC Trump's pick for SEC commissioner. So very positive for crypto. That combined with the fact yesterday that Jerome Powell actually came on. I should look for that and bring that up here. His interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, who is, as we know, fairly negative on crypto usually. Goes back and forth a little bit, but definitely a skeptic, I would say, was interviewing Jerome Powell yesterday. And we did see him actually say that Bitcoin is a here, I'm going to bring it up here, so we will take a quick look at this here. Take a second to load.
War in the Federal Reserve itself, in terms of the system. What do you think of that idea?
I don't think that's how people think about it. I mean, it's so, people use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual. It's digital.
I got to pause it there, because if you ever told me that we would hear Jerome Powell, now I would have said, sure, we could hear a Federal Reserve chairman down the road talk about something like this, but if you had told me it would be he, I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card at all.
People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile. It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold. That's really how I think of it.
So that's a big statement. This is a guy that wouldn't even discuss crypto and wouldn't talk about Bitcoin or Ethereum by name, right? This whole time, now changing his tune. I do wonder how much of this is the fact that maybe he wants to extend his stay, or at least hold it all the way through the end of his term in 2026, and as so needs to get on the side, like we just said, of the new SEC chairman, the good side, the new administration being very pro crypto. So any way you look at it, it has been good for the crypto and the crypto stocks. A lot of you know that I have been in a trade on MSTU, which is a 2x product to the north side, bullish on MicroStrategy. So nice move up here in the last 2 days, about 34%. I've been in it for a little while, so I am not up quite that much because I got in when it was at about that 165 area. I have not had this whole run up. I had it a little higher, it came down, and now it's making its move up. I am going to look here. It's at 196. I was targeting 220 here, and I'll show you that on the daily chart. What I'm sort of looking at here, we're sitting right here, and I'm kind of targeting right here around 226 on it. In fact, I'll mark that up so we all know what we're talking about here. So I am targeting that area here when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm into MicroStrategy. We'll see what happens there. A couple other things I do have to bring up and gloat a little bit about too. El Salvador. El Salvador is now sitting on a $300 million profit on its Bitcoin. So this was a country, one of the poorest countries, if not maybe the poorest country in Central America, when their president, Nayib Bukele, decided to adopt Bitcoin strategy, a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and turn them over. And again, I'll actually pull that over here so we can see it. This is an actual picture of the wallet for El Salvador. Sorry, I got a little bit of a lag here. But they are currently holding $603 million worth of Bitcoin, and their total profit on that is $333 million. They started getting in when Bitcoin was trading back at about $35,000. So, again, you can't argue with the fact that that has turned that country around. I was reading an article in that same spot where I just showed you that from, and what I thought was more interesting is we're now seeing a little bit of a switch from the IMF. So the IMF has now predicted 3% growth for El Salvador this year. Following a meeting with the country's authorities, the IMF said in a statement in August that many of the risks have not yet materialized for the country's Bitcoin's ambitions. Both IMF and Salvadoran authorities agree that further efforts are needed to enhance transparency and mitigate potential fiscal and financial stability risks from the Bitcoin project. It added, some studies have pointed to a slow uptake in Bitcoin as a use of payments, like Jerome Powell just talked about. And again, until we get, who wants to use an asset that is continuing to go up as a method of payment is part of the issue that you get into the paradox with Bitcoin. So, what it does tend to do is it tends to push people more into, hodling or holding and keeping that. So, that is one thing we'll have to figure out in the future is how do we manage that? How do we spur people to use their Bitcoin as an actual tool for payment, or does a stable coin get built upon that? There's a lot of different ways to sort of break that up. So definitely great to see all of this from my side. I can tell you all I've been getting since this came across late last night has been congratulations calls from people, because I made it clear a long time ago that this is just a blip on the screen. We will continue to move up, and now we're seeing quick calls for 200,000 and such. It will be interesting to watch, because if we don't see, like I said, I was one of the people that said we would hit 103, 104 here and then see the pullback. It will be interesting to see. I mean, on the hourly, we are starting to get a little bit of what I call the Bart Simpson look to it. And let me pull this over here. What I mean by the Bart Simpson look is we made the side of his head come up, and now we're sort of giving his sort of head. If we see that kind of do that, I'm going to be worried for eventual fall down back to that 98,000 level. Again, I have no problem with a retracement back down to that level. I don't have a problem with a retracement back to 94 level. These are some of the healthy things that happen to develop price action, to develop supports and resistance, to get price action moving. So what I was watching this morning that I was a little nervous about and didn't happen, I was very happy to see that, was I was nervous about getting a quick little, it looked like we were going to get a quick little double top. When we made the move up and hit here at 104, he came down, and as I went to sleep, at 3 a.m. or so as I was watching this, I thought we were going to come up, and that would have worried me also. So we haven't done any of that yet. I am going to watch what happens the next time we hit 104 here. How do we react to that? I'd actually think it's a bit more of a positive if we don't actually make another move up to 104 today, kind of work ourselves in this 102, maybe take a dip back to 101, or even when we took the jump up from this 101 329 area, and then a little undercut and rally. So anyway you look at it, very positive when it comes to crypto. Everything you see out there. And again, one of the reasons that I am still not, I have taken some profit on things like XRP I've talked about, Cardano, some of these other ones. I am looking at taking some profit here on Uniswap and maybe Solana here, because Solana's made a nice 5% more move up here today. Might take a little bit of profit here. I think it's a way to do it. We'll see there. I will keep you guys informed if I do that, especially those of you on the Quasar Slack. I always put my stuff in there. So we'll let you know. One of the reasons I am still bullish here as it goes is I think we are going to continue to see news reports come out that move the needle like yesterday. There has been lots of talk, and I know a lot of folks like Brian Armstrong and others have been on the down to Mar-a-Lago to talk to the president-elect, and there is talk about a crypto czar being put in place. I think when that gets done, this person that's sort of going to run the president's crypto campaign and, sort of keep everything in line, I think that could give us another big move up. So those are sort of the impedances that I'm watching as we get towards the inauguration and maybe past it, and then we start to see these things come to fruition that people are talking about as the new SEC commissioner gets in and they actually say to a company like Uniswap, we now are sending you a notice that we are not going to file lawsuits. Because remember, there's a lot of crypto companies and some of the bigger ones out there that have been issued Wells notices, which means that they are being investigated and there is a chance or a good chance that there will be suits brought by the SEC. As notices go out to those companies saying that is no longer the case, we have sort of taken you out of the regulatory crosshairs, I think we'll see legs up from those. So, that's what we want to keep an eye on. At that point, we will sell the news events and we'll go from there. So, those are the things I'm looking at in the world of crypto here. So we will keep our eyes open. Things to watch today, of course, like we said, all of the crypto stocks are sort of moving up here today. Coinbase, another one. I'm going to go to daily charts on these here. I was more tracking stuff here from a daily level. Coinbase looks like it wants to make a run back up, and set an all-time high here this morning. Again, open up at an all-time high. Coinbase, as we've seen, Coinbase is, one of the big things we talked about here was, good morning, Ron. I hope all is well with you, my friend. As we talked about, Coinbase is definitely one of those companies for me that is going to continue, is going to be a definitive winner so far in this conversion between TradFi and the crypto world. They have a lot of money, they're very profitable, and they have a lot of lobbyists on Capitol Hill, and they have a lot of connections to TradFi already. And as we know, they are who is custodying and who makes purchases and, more importantly, sales for the U.S. government, the U.S. Marshal Service, when it comes to their crypto holdings. So Coinbase, one to keep an eye on. CEO of Robinhood, was on CNBC this morning, Vlad, and he talked about how crypto is just blowing up. And again, what he talked about is how we will see the use of blockchain technology when it comes to tokenizing stocks. They went into it a little bit. It was going, they were talking just as I was coming on, so I couldn't hear the end of it. But, I have talked about this real world tokenization of assets onto blockchain is extremely attractive. We see it already being used for some treasuries. We know that BlackRock, Securitize, and Franklin Templeton have done a lot of things in this world. We can go into those more some other time, but these are the companies that are going to benefit a lot. Another one that I've been talking to everybody else about here is Mara. Mara, in my opinion, is the blue chip stock when it comes to crypto mining for two reasons. Number one, they are the largest miner when it comes to the amount of hash rate. So again, this puts them in the driver's seat to win the most when Bitcoin goes up in price. The other part there is that Mara has also adopted a similar approach to Bitcoin strategy that MicroStrategy has. And I'm trying to see here. They have the number that they bought. Here it is. And what they're talking about is Mara raised $835 million to purchase Bitcoin. In a very similar manner, or the exact same manner that Michael Saylor is. So I do think it's a little bit of a sleeping giant. People haven't fully figured this out yet. Those that have been here with me know that I called out and that we've been in. I've been in a covered call there, a 21-24 covered call that has paid off over 100%. Took a lot of profit. Have one contract left because basically theta is the only thing worth. Time decay is going to work in my favor and take me up there even if we don't go down. And I'm also covered if we do go down below that 24. Quite frankly, the sells will not get executed, and then I actually make even more money. So it's in a win-win for me, so I'm going to keep that. Again, MSTU, I gave you the levels I'm looking to get out of there. Not in anything else right now on the swing trades. I did not get into nat gas with Steve and those guys. It has got back to that $3 level. I'm going to ride it out. I'm getting conflicting sort of reports or hearing conflicting things there. Steve very bullish on the fact that it's expected to be a little bit colder. But, I'm on the side of that the future traders have sort of already made that decision, and we see that in what's called the Widowmaker, which is the difference in futures in April and May, because that's when we get the end of the winter season and the beginning of the summer season, and futures in May are actually higher than in April, so it's not a good setup in my opinion, so I'm going to stay away from it right now. As we're getting ready to open here in about 12 minutes, we do see that we are about 50-50 in positive and negative on the different sectors. Right now, both the QQQ and the SPY are set to open down just a little bit. Again, keep in mind, they are right about at their all-time highs again this morning. They hit them overnight or yesterday. And we can see SPY perfectly working out to the top of my third measured move here that we've been talking about, going back into September. So it is playing out in that matter very nicely here. Now my support level turns to that 599 level that I'm looking at here that was its resistance back here in the beginning of November to mid-November, and again gave us resistance here last week of November. Blew through that now, so I do think we'll see if that holds up as support. We talked about QQQ. I hadn't really drawn that much on. I was watching it as it sort of seemed to be stuck in a zone here for a couple of weeks, but it has nicely broken out of that again. Tremendously hit a new all-time high yesterday, right about that mark. Still here this morning, getting ready to open up close to that area. So I think we could see fireworks in either direction, on that. I just got a note from Steve, baby, it's cold outside, UNG. So I guess he might be listening here and telling me that he doesn't agree with me. So we'll see. WTI back below 69 here, as we look at that. Um, U.S. Treasury is moving up again a little bit here, up about 3/4 of a point, the 10-year, to 4.21. So not near that 4.5 level that we had seen here, but holding up at that support level and right about the 200-day MA there when it comes to that. So we'll see. We are 10 minutes away from opening here. Shanghai, or excuse me, Stocks 600 up about 0.25%. I'm a little surprised from that. Again, as we look at news out there, have to talk about the no confidence vote in France. So the Macron government was handed a no confidence vote from the parliament. The prime minister is going to be replaced or has to step down. Barnier. On that news, and I thought that would cause a little bit. I guess it shows, and what I saw was a report that basically said things are so bad over there that this isn't even a surprise. This is almost the expect. We've seen the coalition government in Germany break down. Now France, two of the largest, if not the two largest, nations in the euro. So, but like I said, there wasn't a huge move here on the euro, about a half a point. So, about a half a point and a move back up. So, a little interesting there. Again, we know Steve Flanagan has been telling us any drop, he expects to see us down to this 103.3, and then any drop below that sends us to parity, which is when he will be looking to get in long on the euro. And he actually talked about more getting in on the sterling at that point. Sterling a little bit stronger here, and one that I talked about with Anang Mattel is probably going to be a beneficiary of the new administration, where Trump sort of pits England versus the euro to keep things sort of intact in that area of the world. Okay, let's get back into the companies I was looking at today. Here we go. Okay. So, excuse me, we talked about all of these. On the negative side, and a little surprising here, we had some software misses. SNPS, which is Synopsys, is after earnings here today is down about 7%. The semiconductor design software provider issued fiscal first quarter guidance that missed analyst estimates. They expected adjusted earnings of between $2.77 to $2.82, which is well below estimates of $3.52 there. And revenue miss again. They're saying at high end they might do 1.47 billion. Estimates were coming in at 1.64, so they've sort of been hit there pretty hard. So we are starting to see a little bit of a breakdown in some of the software companies. Another one, SentinelOne, which is a cybersecurity company. They are down almost 13% after posting a third quarter loss that was wider than a year earlier because of higher operating expenses. So the company reported break-even earnings in the quarter below analyst estimates of a 1 cent revenue beat. So, definitely, again, we're seeing that on some of the sides. Another one getting hit here this morning, PVH. We've talked about that a little bit. That is the parent company of Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, a couple other brands in there. They actually had a slight beat, but their forward-looking guidance was not very good. Another one to keep an eye on today, down about 12%. AVAV, which is AeroVironment. They recorded a fiscal second quarter adjusted earnings that missed analyst estimates and issued weaker than expected fiscal year guidance. So their adjusted profit in the second quarter of 47 cents fell well below the estimate expectations of 76 cents there. So again, they got hit pretty hard here right away. And they're a drone maker, so that was a little surprising too. I think that's why they're getting hit so hard. AEO, American Eagle Outfitters, again, another one down 15% here on their earnings. They posted third quarter revenue that missed analyst estimates again, also, and issued a weak revenue forecast for the holiday season. So they're definitely struggling a little bit. And again, we've talked about it here. The companies that are winning when it comes to Black Friday and into retail in general are the big box stores, your Walmart, your Amazon, your Best Buy. Those are the ones, Dick's, that are doing better. Some of these smaller standalones are definitely not holding up. On the positive news, we do have some, earnings. It was actually an earnings miss, but that is moving up. CHPT, which is ChargePoint Holdings, is up about almost 12% here. They did report a third quarter loss of about 77.6 million, but that is 51% better or narrower than a year earlier. So, last year in this quarter they had lost 158 million, this year 77, and that they've seen subscription revenue in the quarter raise about 20%. And they gave better guidance moving forward that they're picking up subscriptions, and that seems to be moving the needle. So good to see that, and one that's moving to the upside. VRNT, another one moving up to the upside. So while we had a couple of software misses, this is a software hit for sure. And Variant provides software tools for customer engagement. We do see that, let me read that right off of this one here. They were estimated to come in at about a 43-cent EPS. They came in at 54, so almost a 25% win there. And their revenue at 224 million beat 210 million estimates. So a nice move up for Variant. So happy to see that. Another hit on the retail side, and I think this shows also to the trade down, and we'll talk a little bit more about that with both Dollar Tree and Dollar General. But Five Below actually up nicely here, almost over 15% in the last 2 days between yesterday and pre-market today after their earnings. Their fiscal year sales forecast, they boosted that after their Black Friday weekend results. The discount retailer, which also named Winnie Park, the Forever 21 CEO, as its chief executive, said it expects fiscal year sales of about 3.84 to 3.87 billion, which was slightly higher than what their previous guidance was. So again, Five Below, we're seeing a little bit of a trade down there when we see that. Another one getting hit pretty hard here this morning is NCNO, which is Encino, another package software company. They tumbled 14% after their fourth quarter and fiscal 2025 revenue guidance missed analyst expectations. So I think I had a little bit more information on that one here. This is a cloud-based banking platform. They guided that their total revenue for the fourth quarter is going to be somewhere between 139.5 to 141.5 million. So even on the top end of their guidance, they're going to meet, or they're going to miss analyst expectations by a couple of $1 million there. Definitely there. They did see subscription revenue of 122 million there over the fourth quarter, so a little bit of a decent report on that side, but still getting hit pretty hard. Another one down here this morning, Applied Materials, MAT, and this partly in response to Morgan Stanley, who issued them a underweight and cut their target to 164 from 179. They're now trading at about 176. They had been 181. So the market seems to agree with Morgan Stanley there. That has moved it on. We'll mention we do have Oh, another one that was actually moving up, Southwest Airlines Love up almost 4% here this morning after their CEO came out and said that they expect the unit revenue to rise about 5.5 to 7% in the fourth quarter, up from their guidance of 3.5 to 5.5. So they taking the high end of their former guidance and making it the lower end of their new guidance. So again, we like the street likes when it sees that and moving up from there. Today we do have earnings on track. We have Hewlett Packard up about 4.18% here leading into earnings. Lululemon, another big player, is up about 1.81% here as it goes into earnings. We got Viva Systems, Samsara IoT. I'll be interested to see what Alta does here. We know that Warren Buffett got in and then got out on Alta here, so we'll see. You know, it's actually one that he seems to have lost at because he sold it down here. It's made a nice move back up, so it's interesting to see if we get a little bit more news out of there. DocuSign on track for today. They are trading slightly down going into earnings. GWRE, which is Guidewire Software, another technology service company. They actually are trading down a little bit here, also about 1%. GitLab, which is a depository for very highly used in the blockchain world, but a lot of just development of computer developers use it to put their sources there. Path, the UiPath is got earnings today. We got Rubrik. I will mention Brown-Forman. You guys know one of my favorite when it comes to the beverage industries on the liquor side. Brown-Forman, the folks that are Jack Daniels, Woodford Reserve, Finlandia, and others. They reported earnings, had a nice little beat. They had 55 cents per share on estimates of 48, almost 49 cents, so about a 12% beat and a 2% win when it came to their top line earnings. And then if we look here, it talks about the fact that the liquor maker beat Wall Street estimates for profit and revenue in the latest quarter, and it expects to generate positive net sales and operating income in its current fiscal year, despite macroeconomic uncertainties. Those macroeconomic uncertainties is that the China tariffs will very much affect the liquor industry. China, a huge consumer of especially brown goods, cognacs and expensive bourbons and whiskeys that Brown-Forman does a lot of their business in. Their second quarter 2025 profit rose 7%, 55 cents a share. So nice little move there. They beat the FactSet consensus. Sales dip was mostly due to the sale of its Sonoma-Cutrer and Finlandia brands. The company said, looking ahead, Brown-Forman said a boost from international markets and the benefit of normalizing industry trends will help it generate organic net sales and organic operating income in fiscal 2025. So nice little move, Brown-Forman. I'm a big fan of them. I think that they do a good job. And the fact is that whiskey and bourbons, they are one of the leaders in that area, and being a leader in that area is a big deal because it's very profitable. What else do I have for us here? I did notice UAL was up about 3.63%, getting a little bit of a move up here on sort of the sympathy play or carry over from Love. Same with Delta DAL, up nicely 2.27%. I do have some pumpers to take a look at here before we are open. Ooh, I wasn't paying attention there. We have hit the open here, and we are starting off. Man, not much movement here, quite honestly. QQQ pretty muted here. Still down about 0.05%. We're right about where it was as we opened up. So not a big move one way or the other. It sort of took a little jump and then right back to where it was. Bitcoin holding up above 103 here, starting to get even a little bit more love as we move into the open. We do see the tick slightly negative, advanced decline. Open up slightly in the positive here, about 319, 289. So could go negative here pretty quick. VIX is moving up a little bit to 1350. Again, we will warn you every day while it's down in this level. You buy VIX protection when VIX is cheap, not when it's expensive. So buy it now. Dow Jones is down here a little bit, so the Dow is down. We do see SPY and QQQ have moved positive. Let's take a look at the MAG 7. We see all, can Amazon do it? Amazon looking to go positive and send all 7 of the MAG 7 to the upside here. Big leader so far, Tesla, 2.7% up there. Not really a ton of news except for that they have a little bit news about the cyber taxi and that they are going to use less parts in making it, and it's going to make it easier to make. So always a good sign there. Let's see what's going on. Bitcoin 103,254. So it could try to catch a bid here. Be interested to see what happens if Ethereum can break 4,000 today. It would mark the first time in a long time that it's got above 4,000 and push it back towards its 52-week high and all-time high there. So that would make a lot of people happy. I hear a lot of complaining about its performance. We do see MSTR 44, MSTU up at 195, moving nicely here, 197. Again, I am targeting that 226. I'm going to keep an eye on it here. Anything back below, get my short-term chart. I am going to watch this here. I don't want to let it because it can drop down pretty quick. I see an approach of that 185 area. You could see me get out of my MSTU position here. We'll see. Mara at 27.55 and continuing to move up. Trying to see if any of these early pumpers are going to give us a move here. I got to change the date on my halts here. Come on. What's going on here? There we go. Let's see. There we go. HU on a halt here. HU. Let's keep an eye. Any of the ones that I was already watching on a halt. Agri BJDX. Doesn't look like any of the ones I was already watching are on a halt. It does look like some of them are trying to run though here. I was watching PRFX. It's moving to the downside here. So that one looks like it has played its way out. Definitely has played its way out. We could see, we'll see if it gets a jump up here in the same area where it jumped up below at like 419, but that's moving in the wrong direction. RKDA was another one I was watching here. It looks like it made its pump at 848, now retracing. We'll keep an eye. A move above 731 would keep this in play. So our RKDA still in play here. BJDX moving to the downside. A lot of these are moving to the downside, I'm noticing. Let's see if any of them start to move up for us. Doesn't look like it. This one's pretty close. This one moved up right at 9 o'clock. So Tara, what looks like, was the one that so far is the winner. So Tara definitely on watch today. TARA. PBM, not really. It does look like too. Miggy looks like it's trying to make a run here. So a couple of the ones that I was watching this one, and Miggy definitely trying to make a run here. So looks like it's going to try to make a big move here. Let's look at some of these smaller ones that were getting ready to run. Did any of them move here? NNOX. Keep an eye on NNOX here. Another one, if it finds support here, will make its next move up. So I like this one too, NNOX. So you got a couple of them that are trying here. That one is definitely moving. 17, yeah, that one's definitely a mover. Didn't really see anything today so far that was in where my favorite spot is, which is stuff that are trying to get back above $1. As you know, those are the ones that tend to move. So I am seeing here, let's see, this one should be coming BJDX. Let's take a look at that. BJDX should be coming off a halt here. That to the downside, we don't really care about that. HU's another one. I did add these to my screen, so these are on the bottom right hand side of my screen is where these are coming from and where I am trying, where I'm pulling these up of. This one is kind of interesting here, not gonna lie, kind of interesting. Do have a note from Big Beat here. He's looking at picking up First Fund PRLAX. I don't know if that's going to show up on here because I think that's a mutual fund. PRLAX. Nah, it's a mutual fund, so it doesn't show up on my stuff. But Steve is looking here at PRLAX for a longer term play. Seeing FOXX looks like it might be the runner here today. FOXX on its second halt here. It made one huge pump. This one's interesting. FOXX. If it can move back through this VWAP here, it'd be very interesting. So keep an eye on this one. Could be interesting. Let's take a look at our pumpers here, see what we get. Tara, like I talked about. That's the one to keep an eye on here. Tara definitely, it looks like it wants to run. So now we'd be looking for a break of about 1040 for a move up. So I'd want to see a little volume come in or a buy signal kick off here. Let's take a look if we can catch any of these as they turn to a winner. This might be one. Not catching any here. This is definitely an interesting one. SATL. BTC Digital. This has Bitcoin as a part of its play, so it could move up if Bitcoin does here this morning. We'll see what we get here. Let's see what's moving the most on the S&P here. So big winners so far: Brown-Forman, Tesla, UAL, Aptiv, Moderna, and Rockwell. Biggest losers so far: Synopsys, Fiserv, Cadence, and Marvell. GE Aerospace also down over 3%. So all of those down over 3% here. I'll throw in the whole NASDAQ here. Okay, so nice move all around here. MSTR at 435. Trying to move back up. I do think if MSTR breaks 445 here, it's going to run up towards its 500 level again. So if you do see a break above 440 on Master, you could take a look to go after it here. As you can see, if it breaks that, its next spot 475 I'd be looking at, and then 500. So you definitely have room to move here when it comes to that for sure. Tick now down pretty flat, actually. Advanced decline now on the negative, it looks like negative 114. So that was positive about 300 as we hit open. It has turned. You can see all three indices, all five indices that I sort of watch here. The Dow Jones down about a tenth of a percentage point. SPY and QQQ pretty flat. The RUT, which is the Russell Small Cap 2000, down about 3/10 of a point, and the Small Cap 1000 is pretty much even. On the other side of that, Bitcoin, baby, up 103,393 here, trying to challenge again. Let's take a look at it on Coinbase. I just like to be accurate with what I'm looking at here. Looking pretty good again. I would love to break that 104 and set a newer high here. That would really keep us looking positive for the rest of the day. Solana, one of the big winners here, broke 240 now. Broke 240, did get as high as 244. Its all-time high, 264, so it's trying to get there. Ripple pulling back a little bit, got as high as 280 here. I'm not gonna lie, it looks like it does want to give back. Any kind of break below this 231 here puts 225, and then 216 I think is about where I was looking here as the next support level. Not surprising, it jumped up more than everything else in a short amount of time. I did take some profit, like I said there. Cardano's the one that's holding up pretty nice here. I've been pretty impressed by the way it's holding up. I did see a lot of stuff, and when I do my show tomorrow on crypto, we will talk about what Charles Hawkinson and the boys are doing over there. Nice move up by Doge today, back above 45 cents. I will say though, it seems unable to break through this 48-cent mark here, so keep an eye on that. Crypto stocks hot up almost 9.54%. One of the mining companies here, BTDR, another one of the Bitcoin mining companies, up 13% today. So we are seeing that. I will say that BitDeer is one of the companies that has sold some of their Bitcoin mining facilities or turned them into data centers. So definitely something to keep an eye on. If we look at the spider sectors, that's something I just wanted to see here. We do notice it's a mixed bag about what's up and what's down. Terra now stopped. So Terra now stopped, it looks like, to the upside here. Let's see what we got there. We've been talking about this one for the last 15 minutes here. One of the definite movers here, Terra, 874. Actually stopped to the downside. Seeing Miggy. Let's see what Fox is doing here. We got a few coming off a halt. Let's see what Fox is doing. Fox is 550. This is the one I talked about. If it can make that move back up. Doesn't look like it's got the momentum to do it. It's opening up to the downside. No. Looks like it's going to fall all the way back to this 357 level. So Fox looks like it is dropping off. So we're seeing more quicker sell-off here than we normally see. It's right at its bottom support here. If it doesn't hold at this spot right here, 452, this comes out of play. What I'm looking at here is where it found its spot back up here earlier this morning at about 918. If it can't hold that, it's held it so far, but if it doesn't hold that, it falls out of play for sure. PRFX continuing to fall down here now, only down 90. So it tried to made its little bump up here from the support level that we talked about as it got down to that 439. RKDA holding up pretty good. MIGI, this is the one that's running now. MIGI. And this is one, man, this is the one that broke through $1. Once it broke through $1, look at it. It's going up 134. So again, I was looking for one that was right in that range. I did miss this. Looked like it was falling away. See, that's why you got to keep these on alert. I did not do that. If we caught that when it broke $1, look at that nice move up to $1.33. $1.44 it got up to. So nice move there by Miggy. Looks like it's going to try it again. So definitely still in play here. So we will keep our eye on that. Looking at the Mag 7 here as we are getting 10 minutes away from the end of the show. Nvidia up about a quarter of a point, but we can see Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta now in the negative when it comes to there. We look at indices here. Gold still under 2650. Ethereum can't break that 4,000 level. Bitcoin trying to get back to new all-time highs. Natural gas, nice move up to 301 here. So nice move up. It had been down. We do see again, most of the indices are slightly negative here. Nothing too bad. They do look like they're trying to bounce back up. I will say this Miggy's dropping way down now, so it's lost its support. So you can see when these start to drop, they drop quick. That's why you don't chase in the world of these pumpers. You have to have your thesis lined up and ready to go. WTI still can't break that 69. Let's see what the dollar is doing here this morning. Dixie back down at 105.76. You can see that big drop off since about 8 a.m. this morning. And again, we have jobs report tomorrow is going to be the big thing. I'm going to tell you what, I think we end up positive today. I think that sell-off was the sell-off, and I think we might see ourselves move back up here across some of these. Even though we are still negative across all the indices, I think we are moving back up today. It does look like we do see some of those early winners giving back some of that momentum. Mara in that 27 level. Okay. Neo getting a little bit of love here, up 2.83%. So China, which had been the one thing really getting beat down, is that happening across most of the China stuff now. Alibaba is still down, but Baidu has caught a bid here, up 2.44%. See what JD's doing. JD up 1.79. So after a couple of bad days or a couple of bad weeks out of China. Oh, thanks, Ron. I appreciate that, buddy. Mealy, man, 1994, continuing to move back up towards that 2000 level. I will say the other thing I'm going to take a look at later today and will be covering more tomorrow is I'm going to look at stuff that are any kind of pullback here today towards what we've seen is a big move up by Microsoft after it dropped down. I'm going to show you a couple things here that I want to keep an eye on. I'm going to look at the daily chart here, and what we see is once Microsoft came down to that 200-day, 50-day, it really moved up. I gave it a measured move up that I was looking for here, and you can see it's almost completed it. And that was a nice move up from 420 to 440. That's a pretty good move in a Mag 7, to kind of watch here. So I was watching that one. It made the move. There. I was watching some of these others that were getting towards that, and I'm going to take a look again. You can see Google, again, dropped right to that 200-day MA at 165. Now got as high as 175. So there are definitely some plays here to look at some fundamentals, some things for bounces off of, off of these levels. So I'm going to keep an eye out for some of those pullbacks. I'm going to look at them. I do have a scanner that kind of puts those in line for me. I have come on. Companies that are approaching, so like Eli Lilly here would be one to keep an eye on. Come on. There we go. And you can see that's just below the 200. If we can get a break here, that area, I'd be interested in it. Also one that you maybe, You know, I mean, if it breaks through it, I feel like it fills this gap pretty easy to 900. So that's what I'd be looking at with Lily here. A break of this 200-day MA and 50-day MA. You can see the 50 is moving back down. That is what we call the golden cross, right? When the 50 crosses back across the 200 here, you're looking at a nice spot where you could get a good entry on Lily here. Exxon, another one, you know, and these are some names that I like also because of the new administration, right? If this can break through the 200 here. So these are ones that are just below the 200 that I'm looking for to see if they can break up through it. If they do, I'll be interested to enter some of these. There are some really nice names in this group. Uber, Airbnb, you know, names that cover every type of the thing. DR Horton, Realty Income. There are a lot of them that are in an interesting spot versus their 200-day MA. And if you are of the opinion that we still have more room to the upside here, these would be some of the names to keep an eye on. Well, we are getting through towards the end of my time here this morning. Keep in mind, at 11:30, we will have Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle up to just do their watch list. Those guys have been on absolute fire also lately, so make sure you come back to give that a view. And then we have the great Scott Bauer in at 1 o'clock today, doing his session live from the floor of the SIBO. And I know that those guys are in Chicago, so wouldn't be surprised if they are there. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Have a fantastic trading day, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow or back.